Good afternoon, and today we have an honor to interview my very close friend and patient and really notable person, Mr. Terry Moore. Good afternoon, Terry.
Good afternoon, Maria. Let me say that I'm very pleased to be your guest here. You've done so much for me in my health that I'm honored to be a subject.
Yeah, so we will thank you again to my audience, but this is actually, I interview on my channel usually medical professionals, but today is going to be the patient journey, but not just, patient, but patient who got through different steps of that sleep apnea treatment. And again, thank you very much to my audience. If you have trouble sleeping or sleep next to the snoring partner, please click the like and share button. And I think today's interview can be encouraging for someone who suffers with sleep apnea. And if you're a medical professional, please use my channel as a networking ground. This way, together, we can put all different puzzles, and we're going to talk about different puzzles today while I'm interviewing Terry. We can put different puzzles of that very dangerous disease together and find the best solution for our patients. So let me first do the proper introduction of Terry, because I think his life story and health story kind of entangled in a way. So Terry, he is lifelong investor in science, driven by curiosity and committed to making the world better. Terry is a presenter of 3 TED Talks, and he was, recently, last week, this TED Talk was released, and he got more than 800 views and 800,000 views in 1 week. So make me very proud. In addition to that, he is the author of 3 books, and he is a founder of Radius Foundation and a wellness startup. So all of that, we're going to find out details about your life and about your sleep apnea story. And I put some of it in slides, so you can find information about Terry. And underneath this interview, we're going to put links to his TED Talks, and I hope you're going to enjoy them as much as I do. And the books, and I have all the books in front of me, and I really enjoy them, and they help me for my spiritual life journey. I would put it this way. So my first question to you, Terry, tell me about your diagnosis. Could you please tell us that story? Because that was one of the, when we first met, you tell me the story how you were diagnosed with the sleep apnea with the assistance of a renowned neurobiologist and very popular TED Talk presenter, Jill Bolte Taylor. Like, I know it's a kind of, very special story. Please share it with us.
Yes, Jill's an old friend that I know through the TED community. But going back almost 20 years at this point, one Sunday morning, for reasons that escaped me at the time, I awoke out of a sound sleep and an inconsequential dream in a state of absolute terror. It was a dramatic panic attack of the first order. And it was the first time I'd ever experienced anything like that. And I got out of bed, and I was afraid to close my eyes, and I was afraid to keep my eyes open. It was really abject terror. And I sat by a window, and I ate some sweet food and drank some water. And as it says in the textbooks, it went away in about 20 minutes. But this was a new experience for me. This was a shocking experience, unlike anything that I'd ever had before. And I didn't know what to do about it. And I thought about calling my doctor, and I knew what he would say is, well, let me give you some medication and make an appointment and come in so we can talk about this. But for some reason, I had the intuition to call my old friend Jill Bolte Taylor, who is a brain scientist, because I guess I wanted to try to find some answers rather than just a therapy. So I called Jill and said, Jill, this has happened to me. What's going on with my brain? And Jill asked a very good question. She said, what was your dream like? And I said, well, it wasn't like anything. It was just a bunch of shapes and colors. And she said, that could be an indication. If it was about people and scenes and scenarios, then you might look for some sort of emotional or psychiatric cause. But I think what's happening to you is happening further down the brain. And I thought, okay, that's worth exploring. So again, the person I went to by intuition was my pulmonologist, because this had happened during sleep. And I described the situation, and he ordered a sleep test that determined I was a sleep apnea patient with a fairly high score, an AHI of more than 13.
It was more, yeah.
Which puts me, well into the serious sleep apnea range. This was brand new to me. So after the test, he ordered a CPAP for me, and I took to it very easily. It made my life easier. It made going to sleep easier. I, of course, had to fool around a little with, this kind of mask and that kind of mask. Does it fit on the nose this way? Does it go over the whole nose? There was some experimenting there, but eventually I found a system that I liked, that worked easily, that was comfortable, and it made a great change in my life. And it was for a long time something that I used every night. And I had a travel model so I could take it with me when I traveled, because I do a lot of traveling. And as I said, I tolerated the CPAP very well back when I was using it.
Yeah, this is amazing journey, because Terry went from HI, more than 13.2 to no sleep apnea. So we're going to find out. I want kind of be chronological. And my next question would be to you. I know I try to succeed with the oral appliance, and doctor before me tried to succeed with oral appliance. What was in oral appliance therapy what you did not find satisfying?
Well, I thought it was a lot of trouble, and it was uncomfortable. And it was easier to just use the CPAP. But I still thought there would be other things to do. I still didn't like being dependent on a mechanical device. And I thought, yes, the oral device can work, but there has to be other things to do, and that's how we discovered these other therapies, which have worked.
Yeah, we're gonna find out about the therapy. So when I met Terry, I'm gonna tell my story of the first time when we met. Terry told me that, story of a diagnosis, and I find that fascinating, because usually, I don't hear so much about that. Usually doctors find out, not patient brought it to the doctor. So that was unusual.
Usually the first indication of sleep apnea is tiredness during the day, or a partner who reports a lot of snoring.
Yeah.
Those were not necessarily true in my case.
Yes, it was very different. So that rings the bell.
What happened to me is I had sleep apnea, and my body thought I was suffocating. That's why.
That's why you got the dream and you got the terror. So that's very visual to me. So
that's what all the panic was about.
All the panic was about. So your brain thought you are choking. That's what we saw in the sleep study with the number. But now my question to you, how was, I want to know about your journey. So when we met, yes, I did the oral appliance for you. You find it okay, and then I examine you, in a way how I usually do, and we discuss your tongue situation. And part of your journey was we did, not I did, but I refer you to the surgeon to do tongue tie release. But before that, you had a training with myofunctional therapist to prepare you for the surgery. And after the tongue tie release, you had a training again. And then we had the training together, again, whole session of myofunctional therapy to restore, good tone for your tongue. And all these efforts, maybe for somebody for our listeners, it seems like a lot, but it actually was really worth it because that made your AHI 3.1, and you don't stop breathing during the sleep. You can sleep and breathe in the same time without any machinery or CPAP or oral appliance, just with the tone of your muscles. What I contribute to several reasons to losing the weight. We'll find out about that journey, and also myofunctional therapy as well. So
yes, that's a big difference between a score of 13 or more than 13 and a score of 3.
Yeah.
And it is a wonderful thing to be able to sleep and get a good night's sleep without snoring and without waking up.
Yes, and without those scary dreams as well, and sense of strangulation, how your body perceives it. So please tell me, I do evaluation for tongue tie release, but how was it life with the tongue being as it was? And what was your, like when you explored that procedure and then you got this procedure? Tell us a little bit more about your experience with the tongue tie release and myofunctional therapy as additional therapy towards that treatment.
Well, the myofunctional therapy was very helpful, and led up to and followed the tongue tie release. I had never thought of myself as somebody who really was tongue-tied. I thought the diagnosis of being tongue-tied meant there was a solid piece of skin between the tip of the tongue and the base of the tongue. For me, it wasn't from the tip. It was about half an inch, 3/4 of an inch back from the tip. So I didn't think I was tongue-tied. Actually, I was more tongue-tied than I thought I was. And after the myofunctional therapy, I had the frenulum cut so that I was completely untongue-tied, and that was a remarkable relief, because it not only gave me a little more sense of movement in my upper body, but I also got to know my tongue better and parts of my mouth better. And what was so surprising is when I did tongue exercises, thanks to you, I had muscles that were really tired because they'd never really worked before. So it was a matter of getting those muscles to wake up and start doing their job, which they couldn't do while my tongue was tied. And that turned out to be a great liberation in many ways, not the least of which is being able to speak better without my tongue being tied, even though it was tied just a bit. But it still made a dramatic difference.
What kind of, fascinate me for the last 5 years on that journey, how, you are willing to accept the change. You are willing to look at the new things. And you really have to share that secret with our audience. So my next question to you, in addition to tongue tie release and myofunctional therapy, you lost 100 pounds. You start your diet in the age 71. And, tell us how, from that, it's your first TED Talk about tying shoes, very popular TED Talk, you got to this.
Right. Well, yes. I don't want to sound prescriptive here, because one of the things I learned is there are different diets for different people, and everybody. And I say that as somebody who has spent much of my life trying to lose weight on various diets and schemes. And I think it's a matter of finding the one that works for you. And the one that worked for me is the ketogenic diet. Partly because I'm by nature a carnivore, I suppose. But it not only is a diet that worked for me because of the nature of the diet and the things that it does allow, I find it a very easy diet to follow. It takes a certain amount of discipline, of course, but
Yes.
but it's not something that is very, very difficult for me.
I'm going to ask you a specific question. So tell me, you really love carbs, at least what I know about you, how you find that willpower to stay away from carbs. Even, we are personal friends and we eat together. And I see that basket of bread, what I'm ready to eat, all of it, and you don't eat it. Tell me.
Well, sometimes I will have a little taste of something that I really like, just a little taste, not too many grams of carbohydrates, but just enough to taste. But also the thing that's most dramatic is that I feel better. And being a lighter person, having lost 100 pounds that I was carrying around, just makes moving from room to room easier and more pleasant. And doing all of the things that I do with my body easier and in many ways more enjoyable.
No, that's an amazing story. So my last question to you, I've been fascinated by you on many, many, many levels. And a lot of my friends who also know you want to know, please share, the secret, how you keep the vibrant energy in the age 76 years old young, and what's your secret in maintaining sharp cognitive abilities? Because a lot of our listeners, and a lot of, just people around me who come to me with a sleep issue, they complain on a brain fog and they complain about cognitive abilities decline. So please tell us your secret, how you, over the past 2 years, you authored 3 books, given TED Talk, which is very popular, and additional TED Talks before that, managed several projects, managed to found that wellness company, and stay on top of a Radius Foundation. So what's your secret?
Well, I can't say that it's my secret, but I follow what is generally considered to be, the 5 elements of trying to stay healthy and preserve one's cognitive health and stay alert and alive. And those things are a brain healthy diet, exercise, mental challenges, some kind of mental exercise, and exposure to 40 Hertz light.
Wow. That's a great advice. But I'm going to ask you also a lot of, just a lot of patients in my practice, I notice they are mouth breathers. So big transformation.
And so was I. And one of the changes in my life that resulted from the tongue tie surgery and the myofascial therapy is that I am now really a nose breather and not a mouth breather. And I was substantially a mouth breather. And life is better as a nose breather. And certainly sleep is. That's one of the other components of living well and aging well is getting enough sleep and getting good quality sleep.
Yeah, no, your story, Terry, is amazing, and I appreciate what we can share with our audience, and in the results of sleep studies and your personal story, and how to get from that number to that number. So it's very, convincing and encouraging.
It's been a good story for me. It's made my life, I think, more effective and more enjoyable. And in no small way, I have you to thank for this, because it was you prompted me to get the tongue tie surgery, and of course, you led me through the myofascial therapy.
No, but in my life, I work really hard to encourage my patients, and sometimes I find the good words or I find the good ways to convince them, and sometimes I don't. So I'm trying to share with my listeners your example and your story, and I hope it's going to encourage people to follow. And what's the important message by bringing you to my community? I want to tell no age is too old for change, and change can be enjoyable, and you deserve to be happy in any age. And I think that's very important point.
Yes, right. And I started a lot of this older in life, but it works and it's been successful and it's made my life more enjoyable. And again, brain healthy diet, exercise, mental challenges, good sleep, and 40 Hertz light.
Yes, a fantastic story. So you can find out about Mr. Terry Moore, and I'm sure you're going to be really inspired by listening to his TED Talk on the YouTube and getting the books from Amazon. And you're going to find the links underneath the interview. And thank you very much. And please continue to inspire us on everyday basis. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this story so openly. I really appreciate that.
Well, thank you for your interest. If I can be any more help, please call on me. I feel like I owe you a favor.